So let's take a look at the 3D graphics view in GeoGebra that will allow us to create three-dimensional interactive applets. So we find it here in the View menu and the 3D graphics, and I will also take out the normal 2D graphics view. And here we have a three-dimensional coordinate system. And we can create points, for example, and now this 3D cursor takes a bit getting used to. So a way that we specify points in 3 dimensions is we first specify the x and y coordinates in this plane, and then we can raise and lower the point actually by clicking and dragging to the position that we want. And then if you want to move a point, by default we can only move it in x and y right now. But if we click once, the cursor changes and we can now change the z coordinate. And then we can toggle back to x and y and move it maybe here, and then toggle again, move it down. So that is how we can move points around. So something else that you see here is we can also specify like create lines and all of that, polygons, and then particular three-dimensional constructions like intersecting two surfaces with some restrictions, planes, solid bodies, spheres, all of that. Let's just take a look at the options for representing this 3D view. So you see, for example, here we have this, we specify whether we want no axes, just the axes, just a plane, or axes and a plane. We can also add a grid. So what is actually happening is that this x and y plane is mathematically treated the same as the graphics view. So if we add the graphics view and we create some object in here, you see that it actually also gets created in the 3D view in the XY plane. So that is something to keep in mind, but we can also disable this behavior by, well, for example here I would select all the objects that are part of the triangle. For some reason he doesn't want to select those. And then in advanced we can actually say where these objects should show up, whether we want them in the 3D view or not. Or yeah, so for example we can disable it like this, like this. Something else that we have in the 3D view is here in these options, I click to select no object, and then we are in the settings, the global settings of the 3D view, and we can of course toggle the axes. We can give the axis colors or not. Use lighting, which is sort of whether we want some shadows to be cast or not. We can also give a different background color. You know that I prefer black. And also what you see right now is this dithered fade out of the plane that I personally don't really like, so I prefer to use clipping. And we can also show the clipping box if that is something that you prefer. And the size is sort of, you see it right now sort of in relation to the window. So medium is still a good choice. And you see as we zoom, we see the coordinate system move around. And so that way we can zoom in and out, but we should also be able to move around. You see right now we are by default in this rotating mode, but we can actually select move view and translate the coordinate view in X and Y. And if we click once, we can translate it to in the Z direction. And click again, you can move it in here. All right. So last thing that I prefer personally is to disable the ticks and numbers in the coordinate on the axes, because it just overloads the view and we don't really care about exact number values of the coordinates. So here we have a nice view, and yeah, so this plane also, maybe you want to disable the plane anyway completely, and now you have a completely clean three-dimensional view of the coordinate axes.